Why is the practice of metta a theoretical and practical approach to understanding ourselves and the world around us? Because the metta is the actually beginning of the positive attitude. Positive attitude. And how we relate to ourselves and how we relate to the world depends on our attitude. So actually everything starts with the attitude. Omitobo. So the metta brings the positive attitude towards oneself and towards others. If one has positive attitude towards oneself, one can have positive attitude towards others. If one has not a positive attitude towards oneself, one cannot have positive attitude towards others. So actually, how we see the world, how we differentiate the world, how we see ourselves, how we differentiate ourselves and others depends on our attitude. Because according to Buddhism, our differentiation is based on our feeling, our sensation, our emotions. If our feelings are positive, then we see ourselves and the world in a positive light. So we have less fear, we have less worries, we have less depression. And we don't want to solve the problem by alcohol, drugs, womanizing, and so on. We want to solve problems in a positive way. If we don't have the positive attitude, the problem arises, and nowadays the world is more of a problem than of peace. In this modern societies, many people don't have a positive attitudes towards themselves because of education problem, because of so many couples divorced. They grow with mother number 1, mother number 2, mother number 3, mother number 4, and this creates uncertainty. Then they are not taking proper care of when they come to the world. So they have no positive attitude to themselves because they are not taken proper care of. And taking care of oneself and others, that is metta. That is a positive attitude. If we see ourselves as being useful to ourselves, then we will also see others as being useful beings. Because we don't see ourselves as being useful, therefore we have uncertainty. When we have uncertainty, we project it outside. We have fears, we have resistance. According to Buddhist psychology, all problems actually come from the complex of resistance, which implies fear, depression, worries. When we have no resistance, we have metta. You call it loving kindness, or we call it love, or call it friendship. So we have love for our better self. Real love is for our better self, because our small self is not very good. Everybody knows it. But still we are tending to identify ourselves with a small, not lovable self. So it's very important to open the heart and identify with a big self, loving self. First we have to have a big self, then we can tolerate. If we don't have the big self, we have a small self, we will not tolerate. And practice of love is the practice of tolerance, openness. So if we have openness in our heart, we can open in our relationship to others. When we open in relationship to others, We will tolerate their shortcomings. Everybody has shortcomings. We differentiate in accordance how we feel. When we feel something surpassing our little self in ourselves, we will open. When we don't feel anything surpassing our little self, then we will not open. Then we will always be critical and always find the faults outside, instead of seeing the faults in oneself. So openness is to start seeing the faults in oneself, because we believe in the big self. The big self, the Buddha is teaching like the ocean. If you put salt into a small glass, then the water will become salty. If you put anger into a small mind, then it will completely color the whole being. If you put depression, fear into a small glass, it will completely color, make salty the little water that there is in the glass. But if you have a big container, like a barrel, and even better like a lake, you put some salt, it will not change the sweet taste of the lake. Our big self is also should be like that. We will always meet some frustrations. There will always be something we don't like. There will always be some obstacles, always some dangers like nowadays. But if you face it with the big heart, then they will not change the sweetness of the big mind. So one should, the practice of loving kindness is the practice of finding the big heart. This is the secret. So the secret of visualization is visualize oneself with a big heart. The big heart has place for everything. The small heart has no place for anything except one's selfish desires. And because we cannot find satisfaction in selfish desires, therefore we are frustrated, we have fears, we have uncertainties, we have worries. In our life, to cultivate bad habits is much easier than cultivate good habits. And the good habits start with open heart, with metta. So after the metta, after the loving heart, all the good qualities come. If the loving heart is not there, these good qualities will be sleeping. So we can identify metta with faith, with hope. When we have faith, when we have hope, we will not give up, even if we face many difficulties, many challenges. Like nowadays, I was asked to, especially to address the present problem. And so this is just a small challenge. For sure, much bigger challenges are going to come. If not in this generation, so for sure for next generation. Everybody who is a little bit sensitive knows this world is in trouble. We are, so many of us, and we are polluting this earth in such a speed that the earth, Mother Earth, cannot carry us anymore. So we are sure to face many problems. Especially many of us have a wrong view. What wrong view? They just want to selfishly satisfy their desire to see beautiful things, to smell beautiful things, to hear beautiful things, to eat beautiful things, and to touch beautiful things, to have more sex, more personal enjoyment, more possess. And so the problem will arise. And our society, education is attuned to cultivate these desires of the body, which are endless. Desires of the body are endless. The body can never be satisfied. Only the mind can be satisfied. No one has ever satisfied the desires of the body. It is impossible. But the desires of the mind, they are much more subtle, and the mind brings much more enjoyment than the body. This is very important to understand. Society does not speak about the enjoyment of the mind. Our society only speaks and only advertises the desires of the body. So people are confused. And you cannot really blame them, because our media are like that. And everything we see only is attuned to the satisfaction of the desires of the body. The secret of happiness is in simple life. Then when we have simple life, it's much more easy to actually to have deep enjoyment. Because we will be satisfied with little. But if we have a lot, we will never be satisfied. We will always want more, and we will not appreciate. Now the problem of the challenge in our life is the people, they have, but they not happy with what they have. They want more, never satisfied. So again, this uncertainty, fear, when problem comes, all these things come out. Like mushrooms after rain. When there are many mushrooms after the rain, so people get confused. Because they think that all these negative emotions, they are truth. But these negative emotions, they are not truth. We should believe that the truth is above all these negative emotions. And this, the education should be aware that the truth is above these negative emotions. And if we are just fed on consumption and on putting more desires into the body, then we will never get this kind of positive attitude. So this is a way how to improve our ways of problem solving, the way we approach life, to appreciate what we have and be satisfied with little. Everybody see rather needs of others than only be obsessed with one's own needs. Everybody needs food, everybody needs a roof under the head, but people are obsessed. If they have a big villa, they want bigger. If they have a big car, they want still better one. Then this is a problem. And this causes a big problem. That is why these differences between the poor countries and rich countries are growing. In the countries between the rich and the poor are growing. So the enmity is growing, and the anger and frustration is growing. So this should be also taken into consideration in our education. I hear in some progressive countries like Great Britain, they already introduced like the mindfulness meditation into school curriculum. Most of countries still far behind this, but these some basics of the mindful living should be part of our education. We should understand that the secret of happiness is awareness. Awareness is wisdom. Awareness is insight. Awareness is meditation. There is no meditation without awareness. And when is one aware, one discovers a big self. When one discovers a big self, this small self becomes more and more irrelevant. Then one can be helpful to oneself and one can be helpful to others. This is the secret of metta cultivation, because metta is the illimitable mind. It is the Brahma mind. Brahma mind is a big mind. Illimitable, when in the illimitable our limits look not so real. But in our small mind, our limits is everything we see. So when we have metta, we automatically have compassion. When we have compassion, we have a joy from the good qualities. And when we have these great virtues, we can detach. If we don't have virtues, we cannot detach, because we have no awareness. So awareness is connected with all virtues, and awareness is awareness of the big self, of self which does not identify with our bodily desires, with differentiation based on our bodily desires. I want that, I don't want that, I want to possess this, I don't want that. We get obsessed with this, and this is the source of our fears, worries, depressions. And so we feed our negativity. Now, because so much negativity, the problems arise in all societies. There is no exception. So all societies have these problems. Now we are living in one world, like one village. How people without the experience of meditation begin metta? Just by opening the heart. Sit in a comfortable posture, if possible with a straight spine, and just experience yourself as something beyond the small desires, what we want, what we don't want. For that you can, in the beginning, just use breath, breathe in, breathe out. And then, when your mind has calmed down, then you wish yourself and wish all beings to be in a positive state of mind. That is metta.